In this module, we're going to talk about charts, how to configure the program to keep your NOAA chart subscriptions up to date for free, and how to control the way the program displays vector charts. Chart subscriptions are the mechanism that allow the program to keep the charts on the computer up to date with what's currently available from NOAA. Doing so requires an internet connection. To configure chart subscriptions, go to the main menu in the upper left-hand corner and select Chart Portfolio. In the chart portfolio, notice on the left-hand side labels which allow selection of which charts we're looking at. These are the charts that are installed currently on this computer right this minute. All charts, just the vector charts, just the raster charts, etc. Also notice in the middle of the window are buttons which control the view. Right now it's set to World View, which shows chart outlines. This is a scrollable, zoomable window, so we can move around and see which charts are installed. Clicking the middle button shows thumbnails. Clicking a thumbnail will display that particular chart. And the left-hand button is the detail view. The detail view shows chart names, IDs, scales, the type of chart, and the last date that NOAA updated the chart. Note, this is not the date that you last clicked the sync button. It's the last date NOAA actually updated that particular chart. To configure chart subscriptions, click plus Install Charts at the top of the screen. In the Install Charts window that opens, click Chart Subscriptions at the top. There are 3 catalogs available for free subscriptions: NOAA RNC, NOAA ENCs, and the US ACE, Army Corps of Engineers. The RNCs are the raster charts for all the Coast Guard districts. NOAA ENCs are the same set of checkboxes, but for the vector charts, the electronic charts for the same Coast Guard districts. And the US ACE are the inland rivers. These are the Army Corps of Engineers charts for the western rivers. We don't need any of those. Since I boat in the Pacific Northwest, I choose to select District 13, and that's all I'll select at this point. I'll also make that same checkbox for the raster charts. Checking those boxes tells the program to keep all the charts, raster and vector, for District 13 up to date with what's currently available. Generally, I subscribe to the vector charts because vector charts are the electronic charts, the smart charts. They're the most efficient to download because they're smaller, they're more compact, so the downloads are faster and consume less bandwidth, and they're also the customizable charts, the ones that the rest of this video will talk about. Since I've made some changes here, when I click OK, the program asks if I want to check for new charts right now. Normally I'd say yes, but for the purposes of this demo I'm going to say no. I'll close the Install Charts window with the Close button. I'll get out of the chart portfolio by clicking the Home tab here in the upper left-hand corner. I could also do it by clicking the red X in the other corner. I'll click the Sync button in the upper right-hand corner of the screen to instigate a sync. First, it checks to see if the program is up to date. It is. And then it checks and finds out that there's 39 charts that needed to be updated. So it's downloading them. The steps are, first it downloads the charts, then it installs them into the chart portfolio. Since this could take some time, depending on the speed of my internet connection and how many charts, there's also a hide button. And if I click that hide button, the window goes away. I can use the computer to navigate. And notice the sync button is spinning. It's animated to indicate that there is a synchronized operation going on in the background. Once those charts have been downloaded, the program will ask me if I want to install them. Let's wait for that banner. If I want to check the status of a sync, I can click the sync button and see where it is. It's got 16 more to go. I'll hide that. Notice the message at the top of the screen telling us that chart updates have been downloaded and are ready to be installed. If I click the Install button in the right-hand side, that'll install them right now. If I don't want to install them right this minute, say I'm using the computer for navigation and can't wait for it to go through the installation process, and that could take some time depending on how many charts have been downloaded, I simply click the yellow banner anywhere. I don't have to click the X on the right-hand side. I just click the yellow banner anywhere to dismiss it, and the charts are held in waiting. The next time I click the sync button, they'll be installed, such as now. You can see it going through the process of installing all those charts and then incorporating them into the chart portfolio. And this is why the program gives the option of installing later, because it could take a while. I'll close this window with the Close button, and now we have updated charts. In addition to manually instigating a check for new charts or program updates with the sync button, the program automatically performs a sync at startup time. In the lower left-hand corner of the screen is the chart menu. This button, currently labeled Vector, in the lower left-hand corner gives us control over which charts are viewed and how they're displayed. Click the button and we get a pop-up. At the top, the list shows chart types, raster, vector, CMAP, as well as aerial photo web maps, topographic web maps, and some other options. For the time being, I'll leave it on vector charts, and we'll go through all these options. Below the chart options are a few options that might be changed frequently: hybrid vector chart mode and highlight objects. Clicking more options at the bottom brings up a menu that lets you choose the color palette and the text size. Daytime chart colors allows you to select different color palettes. Right now it's using the NOAA color palette that can be seen in the color scheme used to differentiate the shallow water from the navigable water, from the deep water, and the land colors. Changing to CHS, which is the Canadian Hydrographic Services color scheme, shows a more contrasty color palette. There's also an ECDIS color palette, which is a little bit less contrasty, less bright. As a user, you can choose whichever one you like. I'll stick with CHS. Text size modifies text size. Right now it's set to the medium. We can make it small, smallest, or we can make it largest. I'll put it back on medium. There are options to display the distance scale against the left-hand side of the screen. Unchecking that and it goes away. Chart outlines are the pink boxes that show different chart areas, as well as checkboxes for tide stations and current stations, of which there are quite a few here in Admiralty Inlet. Under additional options is vector chart display. Clicking it opens the vector chart settings window. There are several sections in here. The style of symbols and boundaries may be selected. For example, notice the buoys around Point Wilson, or any of the buoys around the Port Angeles. Currently it's using the simplified style. If I switch to traditional, notice how they change to a traditional buoy style that's not color-coded. I prefer the simplified, which has the color codes in it. Boundaries selects between plain and symbolized for some of the area objects. Symbolized boundaries have additional symbols along the edges, so if I change to symbolized, notice some of these boundaries have changed to be symbolized boundaries, where plain boundaries tend to be solid or dashed lines, and the symbol is within the area that it's referencing. This is a standard S52 option. In the center of the panel are the depth options, which control how depth information, soundings and contours, is displayed. Let's begin with the various contour depth settings, since they determine how water is drawn on the screen. The shallow, safety, and deep contour depths define the depths that are considered safe, shallow, and deep. These depths are used in conjunction with the number of depth shades to determine the color shading used to represent water. Also, the chart's depth contour line that is the same or deeper than the safety contour can be highlighted, as it is right now, shown thicker than other contour lines. When depth shades is set to 2, such as that, any water area less deep than the safety contour is displayed in a pale blue color, while areas that are deeper are shown in white, or black if you're in night mode. When depth shades is set to 4, depth areas between 0 and the shallow contour are displayed in pale blue. Areas between the shallow contour and the safety contour are shown in a lighter pale blue. Areas between the safety contour and the deep contour in a very pale blue. And finally, areas deeper than the deep contour are displayed in white. You should always set the depth contour to a value you feel is safe for your vessel. This allows Coastal Explorer to alter the colors used when drawing water areas on the chart, such that safe areas are always shown in white or lighter colors, while areas you need to be extra careful in are shown in blue. The lighter the color, the deeper the contour. Or conversely, the darker the color, the shallower the contour. For example, right now the safety contour is set to 18, and for my vessel, I think 10 feet is plenty of water for my boat. So if I change that value to 10 and then move to another field, notice how the colors change. Now, this area off the Dungeness Spit is considered safe or safer. Now the controls. Highlight safety contour enables or disables the dark line along the safety contour value. Notice right there along the shoreline. So if I uncheck that, the dark line disappears. Isolated danger symbols controls the use of the isolated danger symbol, which highlights dangerous objects in otherwise safe water. Such as, notice up here in this traffic separation circle, there's a red X, and if I uncheck that, it changes to just a shallow area. Show soundings enables or disables soundings. That's one way to declutter the chart quickly, and if the colors are set correctly, you don't need the soundings necessarily. Something that helps declutter the soundings is make safe soundings dimmer. That's checked right now. If that's unchecked, shows them all bolded. Checking that dims them, which declutters the chart a little bit. Show contour labels displays the depths along contours, such as right here along the shoreline. If I uncheck that, those go away. And for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to uncheck all these boxes as I go to try to declutter the chart. The rest of the options at the bottom of the vector chart setting page can be used to add, modify, or remove various features from a vector chart. In the lights section, show full light sectors controls the display of light sectors, the part of a light that indicates its estimated visible range. Show light descriptions controls the display of descriptions of lights, also known as the light characteristics. Currently it's turned on. If I turn that off, notice the light descriptions disappear next to these lights. I can still see the description of a light or the characteristics by clicking on the light, looking at the properties panel on the right hand side and selecting objects, and there it tells me that that's a yellow buoy. If I click on the red buoy, it says that that's a red lighted bell buoy, and there are its characteristics. Highlight major lights enables the display of a circle around major lights. These circles are fairly large and can cause clutter, but are part of the S52 standard. If I uncheck this, notice what happens to the lights there at New Dungeness and Point Wilson. I'll leave that unchecked for now. In the text section, show important text controls text flagged as important in the S52 standard. Show other text controls text denoted as others, which in this example tends to be the elevations of the hills. And show names is all the text on the chart. A Rosepoint exclusive feature, shorten ATON names, displays only the most important part of a name of an aid to navigation and can significantly reduce clutter in some areas. Notice the Rosario Strait Traffic Lane Separation Lighted Buoy RA here in that traffic circle. Checking that, it shortens the extended name to just the visible name of the buoy, RA. Turning off show soundings and all 5 of the optional features is handy when viewing the chart for planning purposes and is similar to what's sometimes referred to as the base display. And these options provide more control than the old base, standard, and full buttons. Watch the chart as I uncheck boundaries and limits, prohibited and restricted areas, cautionary notes, ships routing systems and ferry routes, and submarine cables and pipelines. We now have a lot less information on the chart. I might highlight the safety contour, show soundings, make them dim. How do we get there? From the Charts menu in the lower left-hand corner, clicking More Options, and then Vector Chart Display, where it's possible to customize the style, depth contours, lights, and other features. Close it with the red X. Or, from the Chart menu, simply clicking the Settings button next to Vector Charts takes you directly to that particular page. And I'll close it with the red X. Other options are aerial photo web maps and topographic web maps. These are maps that come from the USGS, downloaded on demand when selected here, and that requires an internet connection. Once they've been downloaded, the images stay on the computer, so you won't need internet access to download them again. MapQuest photo and street maps are also available. They include aerial photos that are better than the built-in ones for areas outside the U.S. and street maps that provide nearly worldwide coverage. To enable MapQuest web maps, go to the main menu and the licensing and add-ons. And in the licensing and add-ons page, go to the Store tab. And on the Store, click MapQuest Web Maps. Click Get This for Free. Wait for a small download. Close licensing and add-ons. And now when we go back to the chart menu, we notice two additional items: MapQuest Open Aerial Photos, which are the MapQuest versions of the aerial photos. Notice that they don't have photos for non-land areas. And MapQuest Open Street Maps. These photo, topographic, and street maps are a replacement and improvement for the MSR Maps feature that used to be in the products. The street maps are very handy when looking at international scale. For example, if I zoom way out and scroll into Canada and zoom in on some areas such as Nanaimo, I can see place names in other countries, and that might help me plan an international voyage. But I'm going to go back to the view that I had a minute ago. In fact, I will zoom in on Port Townsend a little bit. Another option are hybrid vector charts. Selecting hybrid combines the navigable portion of vector charts with some non-vector choice, in this case the MapQuest OpenStreetMaps, or we could switch to the aerial photo maps. If we scroll along and are wondering about a bridge here that we know is down here, and we want to see what it's called, we could go to the MapQuest OpenStreetMaps in hybrid mode and see that this bridge is State Route 116. All these options have keyboard shortcuts. Hybrid, the keyboard shortcut is the letter H. Typing H right now turns off hybrid. Typing it again turns it back on again. Similarly, V is for vector charts, so typing V enables just the vector chart, or R, just the raster chart. Typing H enables the hybrid view, where we are seeing the navigable portion of the vector chart with the non-navigable portion of the raster chart. These keyboard shortcuts are listed in the built-in help under keyboard shortcuts. In the main menu, go to Help and Product Support, keyboard shortcuts, and scroll through the list, and there are all the keyboard shortcuts.